welcome back to Creating Hanley. My name is Kimberly. I am your host here at Creating Hanley, and we are making this apple bite quilt block. So far, this is part of our series of the apple and pear. So we've made our pear. We have made the whole apple. We have made the apple sliced. And this video, we are talking about the apple bite. So, those of you old enough to know what Pac-Man is, I think this kind of looks like Pac-Man. Anyway, yeah, so apple bite. So I'm still using the bee fabric that I used here. I'm still using that same bee fabric to indicate the inside of the apple. So the apple, I'm still making a red apple. So this is relatively simple now, guys. Okay, so this was the most difficult one. It's going to be almost like this one, okay? So we're getting a little bit simpler, a little bit simpler. That's great. So the way you make this is the exact same way that you've been making all of these. So get your stem and leaf units together. So what you need is 1 3/4 inch by 1.5 inch stem color. So that's what that looks like. 1 3/4 inch by 1.5 inch in your stem color. Your leaf is going to be the same. 2-inch block in green or whatever leaf color you want, and a 2-inch block in your background color. If you're not sure how to make a half square triangle, go to the pear video. That is an hour long. It tells you everything. It tells you how to make a half square triangle. It tells you how to put these together. It tells you how to line these up and all that. It tells you how to line them up. Everything, okay? So if you've been sewing for a while, you already know how to make a half square triangle. So you're going to make your leaf, and you have your extra fabric for the opposite side of the stem. Okay, that unit, you put that together. Okay, now that's done. Put it together, sew it together so you have this strip, this unit strip right there. So that is done and out of the way. Now I also have my sides here, my sashing or binding. It's not really binding or sashing. It's just the frame work. It's just the frame on the outside of the apple. So same measurements that you've been using, do that. Set those 4 aside. Now, but we're not making the slice. We're making the apple bite. Okay? So put that aside. So for the apple bite, what you need is, now you need your inside fabric again. It's the inside of the apple fabric, which I'm using this bee fabric. So my bee fabric here. Make this a 2-inch square and your background color a 2-inch square. Again, same thing that you did here. You're making a half square triangle. So you just need one of these, okay? And make your half square triangle, cut them apart so your half square triangles look like this, okay? And hang on to those units. Now what you also need is 4 half square triangles for the outside of the apple. So you make your 4 red and background half square triangles. Again, that is a 2-inch square and a 2-inch square. Because these are all the same sizes as from the beginning. These are 1.5-inch squares. Now, because you have extra seam allowances and extra cutting for the half square triangles, you have to allow for a 2-inch square. Okay, so 2 inches of fabric cuts down to 1.5 inches, and then when you sew it into the project, it becomes a 1-inch square. Okay, and now for the red, you need 10 of these, 1 1/2 inch. So here's my here's my chicken scratch writing. You need 10 of these 1.5 inch red scrappy little squares. Okay, so now you have your 10. So you already know how to make this. Maybe I need to demonstrate it. So let me demonstrate on how to do this. So you're going to take your 2-inch by 2-inch squares, Put them face sides together. And then you take your straight edge. Make sure these are exactly measured. They're exactly the same all the way around. They're exactly laid on top of each other. And then you take your writing utensil and you measure up one diagonal corner to the other diagonal corner. And then you draw a line. It doesn't matter if it needs to go away. Nobody's ever going to see this line. This is your guide line. This is your cut line. So you take it over to the machine and you sew a 1/4 inch. So you line this guide line up with your 1/4 inch mark on the machine. And then your thread is now a 1/4 inch away from that line. Sew down on each side. You don't even have to cut the fabric. Just spin it around. Lift up the presser foot, spin that around. Line up your guide with the pencil marking that you just did. Now this is what this looks like. Okay? It's now sewn a 1/4 inch away. And then you take your scissors or your rotary cutter and you cut directly on that line. And now you have just created a half square triangle. 2 half square triangles. And that's how you do that. Now, when you put this into your project, you want the corner to go away from each other towards your apple. I hope that makes sense. So trim this up first. So you want this to trim up to 1.5 inch. It should be clean like this, 1.5 inch, okay? But I'm just going to show you real quick. So you trim that up, put your, so this is how it looks in the project. So you're putting the corners towards the apple, if that makes sense. So this way and this way. So you put it in the project like that. All right, let me take this out. So it's going to be like this. Okay, let me see that. And then at the bottom, you now have this way, an apple. So we're curving the apple around. And then you also have a curve at the top here, just like this. Okay, so here's your template. So you curve. And these are, I didn't press these. You just saw me finger press them, so now they're popping up. I don't like to work with fabric that pops up like that. I always like to iron and lay it flat. So it's more like this instead of jumbled up like this. And then you take just the regular Scrappy 1.5 inch blocks and line them up. There's that column. Now this column is done. This column is done. You need 4 more for this column. Just line them up however you want them to go. Doesn't have to be necessarily in any specific order. And then, unless you want it to be. And then now you have your 2 remaining half square triangles. And they form the other half or the other side of that circle, right? I know they're not rounded, but it appears to be a round. And then 2 more of your Scrappy 1.5 inch squares there, just like so. Okay? There you go. Let me shoot this back a little bit. There you go. And then you sew these together, and then you sew your stem and leaf unit on, and then you sew your borders, top and bottom first, and then the sides. Okay? Have fun making this. I know that was quick, but you've already done this. You've done this technique. You've done this with the pear, with the whole apple, with the apple sliced. Now we're doing the apple bite. And the next one we're going to do is the apple core. Okay? Where is my apple bite? So here's the apple bite with the messy handwriting. If you have any questions, let me know. But have fun making this. It's coming along pretty quick. The next one we're going to do is super fun, guys. And then we have a new pair after that, too. So stay tuned. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.